The Birth of Islands, End of the Aoela People. Once long ago, before there were any islands or Aoela people to settle them, there existed only three things: the sea, the stars, and the sun. Sudaiba, the goddess of the sea, loved both Uida, the goddess of the sun, and Kavida, the god of the stars, and they both loved her in return. From their combined love, new life was born. From the union of Sudaiba and Kavida, they bore Ototala, the goddess of storms, and Ladia Denoi, a goddess of the moon. From the union of Sudaiba and Uida, they bore Wasayu, a goddess of fire, Valdo, a god of volcanoes, and Mauriu, the goddess of islands and the creator mother of the Aoela people. When Mauriu was born, she formed the first island, a place where she could live, learn, and thrive. The goddess of islands loved her mothers, Sudaiba and Uida, and she longed to be a great mother like the both of them. From her own will and womb, she bore children of her very own. Her first son was Treko, a god of wild plants and agriculture. Her second son was Kajo, a god of jungles and wildlife. Her children helped her make the first island full of lush plant life and lively creatures. For a long time, Mauriu was happy living in the middle of the great ocean. She loved watching the many fish, whales, and other sea life breach the water's surface. She adored staring into her uncle Kavida's great celestial bounty, at the many distant places that twinkled beyond her reach. Mauriu often conversed with her family members when they came to visit her. However, she eventually became bored with the constant cycle of repetitiveness and yearned to create something new. She observed her son Kajo as he made new animals to run upon the first island. She studied the many sea creatures that her mother had crafted in ages long past. Many ideas came to mind, and a strong hunger to surpass both of them ignited within her. Mauriu used her magic to create the first of the Aoela people. It was a marvelous feat indeed, and her divine family gathered around to watch as the Aoela people grew in number and in intelligence. The Aoela people were interesting, as they used the resources of the land. They honored the gods and goddesses for bounties, and they lived in balance with what the other gods and goddesses created. Mauriu was celebrated for her cunning. Unexpectedly, the Aoela people had powerful latent magic that created unique and new things. From their imaginations, they created Balia, a goddess of mischief and chaos, and Mojojala, a god of stories and tales. It seemed like such a small thing, and Mauriu delighted in the presence of new deities. Unfortunately, space on the first island became smaller, as more of the Aoela people became born into existence. They began to argue over resources, and the arguing soon transformed into squabbling, which became something darker. It became violent. From that sense of rage and violence, two more divine beings were made from the powerful spirits of the collective Aoela people. A pair of twins, the god Yakon and the goddess Yeka, sprang into existence. They fueled the anger of the Aoela people to new heights and ushered in a new concept never before known: war. The gods and goddesses stepped into the fray and stopped all of the fighting. They cornered Yakon and Yeka, but the twins wept in regret. They didn't mean to cause so many issues, and they only acted in their nature. When the other gods and goddesses stepped in, it allowed for the twins to calm their fiery spirits. They apologized, and the gods and goddesses forgave them. Something had to be done, however, for the Aoela people were becoming far too numerous, and they were powerful enough to conjure new divine beings with their collective subconscious thought. Because the Aoela people were her creations, Mauryu promised to ensure that such a conflict would never happen again. Firstly, Mauryu waved her hands over the Aoela people and took away most of their latent magical powers. They could no longer conjure things with their collective thoughts, but they could still dream, imagine, and innovate. She took the rest of her magical power and then sent it out into the world beyond the horizon. Both the gods and goddesses and the Aoela people stared toward the horizon wonderingly, and they asked the goddess of islands what she had done. Mauryu laughed weakly, for she had used everything that she had to provide a fantastic solution. She had used her power to create many, many islands in the vast ocean. Islands that were large enough to accommodate the growing Aoela people. If they had the courage to venture out into the unknown, then the Aoela people would be able to create new homes for themselves, with all the resources that they would ever need or want. Once more, Mauryu was celebrated for her cunning. In order for the Aoela people to leave the first island, they cut down all of the trees and turned them into canoes and ships. They split into 6 tribes of people, and they set sail into the unknown. These people would become the first voyagers of the Aoela. Mauryu watched them go, but a great weariness had come over her. She had used all of her divine power, and so she laid down upon the now barren first island. As she started to drift off to sleep, the other gods and goddesses came to her and made many promises. Treko and Kajo promised to cover the islands in flora and fauna so that the Aoela people could carve out lives for themselves. Ototala and Valdo vowed to test their might so that only the strong and hardy would thrive. Wasayu attested to comfort them at night. Balia said that she would keep the Aoela people humble, while Mojojala claimed that he would soothe their spirits with wonderful stories. Even Yakon and Yeka promised to bear witness to their aggression, and curb it so that it would not rage out of control. Mauryu thanked them, and then she placed her head down to rest. Treko gave her a blanket of grass and trees to keep her warm. Kajo left many cuddly animals behind to keep his mother company. And both Sudaiba and Ueda vowed to watch over their slumbering daughter until she woke again. The gods and goddesses set out after the Aoela people, eager to see what they would accomplish.